Forever. Dog.
Warning. The following podcast includes hundreds of animatronics and almost as many charisma-free General Motors CEOs. It's an exploration of ingenuity, Ninja Turtle gratuity, and cat-facing nudity. Gear up for a slow-moving spin on Epcot classic World of Motion on podcast The Ride. Welcome to Podcast The Ride, where we believe it's fun to be free, as opposed to Podcast The Ride, The Second Gate, where we believe it's fun to pay $5 or $8. I'm Scott Gardner, joined in the room by Jason Sheridan.
Just like GM's quality automobiles, not everything can be free, you know?
I would not expect GM to issue cars for $0.
Yes. No. It would be funny if, like podcasting, they put out some of the cars for free, and then other ones you need to lease.
If you want the really good ones,
yeah.
It's a little extra. And joining us from somewhere else on God's green earth, it's Mike Carlson. Hi.
I'm here. I'm broadcasting live from the Ninja Turtles underground headquarters from Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. This is the abandoned train station where I've made my home and where I'm choosing to raise my child.
The ultimate wow. That's where she's, oh my God. Well, yeah. Instant jealousy, not just from all of us, I would think.
Yeah, we're recording some video on this, so if you want to see me live from the underground train station, just go to YouTube, Forever Dog, right? Forever Dog's YouTube, I believe.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that rules. What are some of the amenities of the underground train station? Do they have, they have to, think of a weird way to get pizza, right? They can't exactly, enter that into the app or, I guess, on the phone
I think,
at the time.
I think they did it, in the first one where they just kind of wait by a sewer grate. Mm-hmm. And then a disembodied voice yells at the pizza person to slip it through. And then they pay with the cash. They're all they don't like a cashless society, I assume. The Ninja Turtles, they're not in favor of the Great Reset that will get rid of cash and turn all of our money digital. They're old school guys.
Well, that's what I only recently realized, the dimension that's weird about restaurants having to scan the menu, that it essentially boxes out people who don't have phones. And that's sort of what's happening if it's a cash-free society that severely impacts mutant turtles who live in underground layers. How else do they pay for
sure,
stuff? Yeah. And they're probably good tippers, right? Because they're about virtue and justice. So you're
each
missing
one
out
tips
on
a different way. And this is not the topic of the episode, but I have a lot of thoughts on which turtle is the best tipper.
I'm more than happy to abandon and shift as much as we want to get to the world.
Donatello is the best tipper.
Okay. What's the thought there? What's the logic there?
Donatello, I think he's just the most sort of thoughtful and the most empathetic of all the turtles. So I think he understands that, being a service worker, it's hard. It's hard waiting on people. It's hard delivering pizzas. So I feel like he's the one who's probably most in tune with that. I would say number 2 is Leonardo, who's pretty empathetic as well, but also I think can get a little wrapped up in himself.
I was going to say, would he be a little bit cut the shit? At some point, there's a job to do. And you can't be nickel and diming. He might have a limit where he's look, just deliver the food, okay?
Yeah. And then I think maybe it's even Raphael next, even though I think Raphael's one of those guys who's the food was late. They're getting half the tip. They're getting half the normal tip I would give them. And you're just give the full tip, man.
The bouts of rage, hard. It depends on when. But if you catch him on a good day, maybe he tips a lot.
And then Michelangelo, look, I love him. He's a party dude, but I don't think he's the kind of guy who's just oh, I didn't have anything. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, he's like a child.
He's like a child. Yeah.
The only time I ever a group of friends and I ever just did not complete the check was we were all 15 at a Denny's, complaining about George W. Bush And then we all just pathetically like, I have some more nickels. I found some more nickels, and we just did. So that's Michelangelo's eternally 15, I think, and that's a
for sure.
great break. I would find there's no debate over here, right, about that list.
That all adds up to me. Did you say Leonardo yet? Did I just?
He was 2. Yes,
he's 2. Okay, yeah.
He's number 2. Yeah.
So Jason paid attention to 3/4 of the list.
I just missed one. I was worried. I was ranking. I was following your ranking, and
he's
I missed
remembering.
one.
He's just got General Motors facts in his head, and he's running them
got
over and over and over again to make sure he doesn't forget them.
My general unease with how many times they low-key talk about freedom just has me a little off kilter.
Fair. Speaking of George W. Bush,
Yeah.
freedom, talking about freedom, and talk about Paul McCartney, talking about freedom, his famous song.
Yeah, and they were talking about your freedom to buy a Chevrolet Malibu.
Yes, a car I owned at one point.
That's right.
How lost is the reference to freedom at this 20-year-old song? Paul McCartney's post 9/11 extremely
I'm
simple.
sorry,
cranked
that's
out.
my fault.
No, I'm just curious. Maybe people have a strong memory or fondness for freedom.
I think The Rising is the one we all remember.
That's a Bruce Springsteen
That's
song.
Bruce's song, yeah.
But
Doesn't have
not
the word
written. And
freedom
look,
in it.
we're in the weeds already, but Bruce did not write that song for 9/11. It just happened to come out after 9/11 and feel like it was a very prescient, is that the word? Song, something that was a reaction to. Freedom was written after 9/11. I just want to make that very clear.
Yeah.
I think it'd be
No,
hard
no
to go
comment
on.
from my co-hosts about this.
I was
I
acknowledging
went
it.
to wherever Jason went during the Turtles list, I think.
I went back to thinking of the Turtles tipping pizza people when I was talking about the Rising. And
It made me think
freedom.
I should go back to that Denny's, which is still open, and just like complete the bill. I know it won't be the same people. I don't believe.
I mean, how much could the tip have been on like a plate of fries and a cherry Coke?
Oh yeah, it was
in
already
2000?
bad. Yeah, I'm sure we were all.
Yeah.
Okay, so how much hammy do we all get between the 5 of us? Is it an even 5 split on this moon? All right, how many moons do we all get?
Yeah.
if we split it 5 ways. Okay, today we are, in theory, hopefully, we'll be talking about World of Motion, an opening day Epcot attraction. We are right around Epcot opening day, the 40th anniversary. I'm wearing a commemorative shirt, Epcot forever. That's how I feel in my heart. And wow, almost 40 years since the future began. Any general feelings about or sentiments you want to send to this venerable park?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm happy. Again, I'm happy there's new stuff. We've gone over this many times. I'm happy there's new stuff and fun stuff to look forward to. But I do get wistful for the boring stuff they got rid of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and which this definitely fits
Oh,
under.
this is one of
I'm
the
delighted
boring-
by it, but I think it's.
Yeah.
I think you'd be faking it if you said there wasn't at least some of this that is boring.
I see
right?
Jason's face.
I-
He's really fired
No,
up.
Jerry, the fists are coming out.
I was coming in ready to defend this just on the sheer fried into my memory first traffic accident scene. And then
yeah.
I watched it and I was like, there's a lot of fun stuff in this one. There's more fun stuff than I remember.
Uh-huh.
First off, there's
Yes.
nearly 200 animatronics, so
Yeah.
high marks for that.
Yeah.
And
oh,
then-
by the way, I like the ride. I was
Oh,
just
yeah.
I
saying.
do too.
it
I
was
do
like-
too. This is not a mission space situation.
Yeah, no, not
Oh,
at all.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
let me get that out of the way.
No, I like the ride a
people are
lot, and I
getting
like
angry,
boring
Scott's
Epcot
being an
rides.
edgelord
Spaceship-
again.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think there is more fun in this ride because you had this was one of the only rides Ward Kimball worked on, one of Walt's 9 old men, and then you had Mark Davis working on it, you had Claude Coates working on it, Buddy Baker and Exitencio did the song.
You're
And
blowing all the names right at the
I'm
top.
blowing
Where are
all
we
the
gonna
names.
go
I'm
from
blowing
here?
all the names.
Nothing to talk about.
Purely to
GM
make
CEO Robert Stimple.
look, I'll save Stimple for you. I didn't have Stimple. This is more to make the point that I think those guys generally had more fun, creative work, more fun in animation than, say, Ray Bradbury and Buckminster Fuller.
Sure. Well, you've got like a goofier lineup of people. Mark
Yeah.
Davis is responsible for a lot of the like silliness in attractions, Jungle Cruise. I feel like he's like great Disney, like silly, playful animatronic tableaus are Mark Davis. And then, Ward Kimball was like, this is the only ride Ward Kimball
It's the
worked
only
on,
ride
not
now.
otherwise, didn't otherwise make the shift.
Well, Ward Kimball, they did name, there is a locomotive named after him at Disneyland, named after him in 2005. This locomotive was repurposed. It was originally used to transport sugarcane, a sugarcane plantation, and then it was at Cedar Point. And then eventually...
The Disney train was not a Disney original.
It's
like
not
bought
a Disney
another
original.
Train? Really?
It's also the only Disney locomotive not named after a railroad executive.
Wow,
All of
really?
the other ones are named after old-timey railroad executives.
Wow, you're heroes.
My heroes, yeah. Surely great guys, right? Railroad variants.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, I tried to find a picture of Ward Kimball, and the first thing on a like Disney fan blog is Ward Kimball with a real big smile, doodling one of those crows we don't talk about anymore.
Oh no.
Okay,
Oh,
all
that's-
right.
Well,
So,
I wish
there's
he
that.
hadn't been photographed.
Yeah.
He though, like a lot of fun, silly character. He was Jiminy Cricket. He was Dumbo. He was Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And he's a crazy Coke bottle glasses loony guy. Like he looks fun to look at. So the ride is going to be fun if it's
more
coming
fun.
from a fun looking guy, right?
Have we discussed that about Imagineers? If the Imagineers are fun looking, their rides are often better. Is that something we've put together? Like,
But is that true? Because is
I
Tony
guess it's not
Baxter
true.
fun looking? He's just like a man.
I think he is
Fun. Yeah, he's got that big bushy mustache. That's pretty fun.
I think he has like
so.
kind of iconic features.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I like him too. I'm just like he's like a guy. He has a mustache and he
is a
I
guy.
wouldn't put him in the same ballpark as a guy with big crazy like a guy who looks like a scientist from a movie.
Well, maybe we look. It's too much to do now, but maybe we rank the fun look of all the Imagineers at some point. You know, who looks the most fun of all the famous Imagineers? Joe Rohde looks fun.
That's
Joe Rohde
true.
is fun.
That's undeniable. But then you've
He
got
looks
your
fun.
Bob Gers, who looks fun now.
He looks fun. Yes,
But
looks
at the
really
time, I
fun.
think he was. We always talk about like just the white shirt, the leg buttoned up. A lot of those guys were very formal look. I think it's you could make the argument the other way that if you don't look fun, then maybe you inversely come up with fun.
Young Rolly Crump was like
a hunk.
Kind of a hunk, yeah, in
Oh,
that
that's right.
World's
He was
Fair
pretty
one.
cut. Mm-hmm.
Like,
But he looks fun in his older. Like he looks fun in his older. These are parameters we're gonna have to figure out for whatever this takes shape. What age is it that you have to look fun by?
The fun features. Final four. If I could quote what you said about Tony, you said iconic features, but we're going to rank like what their noses and chins. Where are we heading with this?
I don't know. I'm saying we have to work the parameters of this out, and we'll each have our own our ideas about what.
What
it is.
about costuming? Because Ward Kimball was also in the Dixieland jazz band, the Firehouse 5+2, and
if
I believe
there's
they
pictures
dressed
of them
like
wearing fun
old-timey
outfits, that's going to help them
Yeah.
if there's pictures of them wearing fun outfits.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, costumes, glasses. Look, there's no argument about Ward Kimball looking
No
fun
argument.
and the sense of fun that he brought to the history of transportation, which this could have gone a more clinical way. I think that is where the story of it potentially is that they partnered with GM. We want to tell the story of transportation. There was an earlier version, I think, that Claude Coates was involved with that was a little more dry, as some of Epcot Center ended up being. And they said, have more fun with it, Disney it up. And they came up with something that definitely feels like, all right, it's the Pirates vibe, where there's so many characters and big chaotic scenes and things that feel literally taken from Pirates, like a guy coming up from a well or a manhole cover with big goofy eyes and looking around like, what just happened? Garsh. Like, doesn't that feel that happens in this ride? And I feel like that happens in a lot of Disney rides. They might always use the same mold of like the befuddled man with big eyes and a like little quivering lip. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, even in the Haunted Mansion, it's probably the same mechanism that like has ghosts pop up behind a headstone or something.
Yeah.
We want pop-ups and pop-outs, and they
Pop-ups
did a lot
and
of that in
pop-outs.
this.
Pop-ups and pop-outs, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, they're riding two ways right now. The huge success of Haunted Mansion and Pirates, and they're also not too far out from the World's Fair. I was talking to my dad about this ride. He's like, I always liked about the original Epcot stuff. Those pavilions felt like the World's Fair pavilions that he saw as a kid.
Right.
And he's like, he always liked those. And also a very dad observation about Epcot. He's like, and also they were very relaxing and it was cold in there. So that was a nice, and they were long. It
And
was
long,
cold
yeah.
and long. And that was a nice comparison to the Florida swamp.
You are your dad's son.
And I am, yes.
With that history, with the 64 World's Fair, that's definitely a big part of this. So Disney had Disney already had a car industry girlfriend, honey. I don't know what you want to say, but they were already paired up with. Like they already hooked up with Ford, right?
Yes.
They weren't messing around with GM.
Ford and Disney were going steady.
That's the way you put it. Yes, yeah. It's the early '60s. They were going steady. Ford sponsored the attraction, the Magic Skyway, at the 1964 World's Fair. Showed how successful Disney could be, merging with transportation and telling transportation and futurism kind of stories. But I didn't realize that those Disney attractions at the World's Fair, Small World and Carousel of Progress, those feel like a big deal now. But at the time, if you ranked guest satisfaction and popularity at the 64 World's Fair, the Disney attractions were 2, 3, 4, and 5. They were none of them were number one. And number one that guests liked the most was a General Motors ride called Futurama. They had an attraction called Futurama in the 30s, whatever year the 30s World Fair was. And then Futurama 2 was at the 64 World's Fair. So they beat Disney. Somehow Disney managed to not have the most liked attraction at the 64 World's Fair. So that's probably where Disney's eyes started to stray. They're like, what's going on up over with GM? Are they available? Will they be available someday?
Maybe we take GM over to Holiday Hill, if you know what I'm talking about. When Ford is out of town.
See what happens.
Well, I watched the Martin's vid. Martin's vids does these great video essays about Disney attractions, especially long gone ones. And one of the very first slides, and I screen grabbed it because I thought it was very funny. He said, having seen what Disney did for Ford at the 64 World's Fair, General Motors did not want a rival stealing the limelight at Epcot. So they were the first to sign on for Epcot. First pavilion that went vertical at Epcot.
Okay.
So they were on board.
They got right to. And they gave Disney, they said, come out, take a tour of our test track, the facility where we road test the vehicles. Maybe that could be an idea for a ride. They said, no, never. That will never happen. We will figure out something better. So test track did not occur then. But yeah, I think this is beautiful. This is like kind of two people in unhappy marriages eyeing the other. Well, maybe if there's ever a divorce or a death, maybe that's what happened with Disney and GM. They finally hooked up.
Disney and the backup plan. Disney and GM. Is that a movie? Is there a movie called The Backup
There
Plan?
definitely is, but I don't know the plot of it.
Okay. As soon as I said it, I was like, surely someone has made something.
Yeah.
Probably one of the, like, if we're not married by the time we're such and such an age, or if we don't have kids, it's such and such.
I'll look it up. The backup plan?
The backup plan.
Is that Jennifer Lopez?
It is Jennifer
Oh,
Lopez.
it's Jennifer Lopez and Patrick Dempsey?
It is, hold on.
But is it about divorcees or people who want to get out of their unhappy marriages?
I think
and
she
screw.
froze her eggs and she just met a guy and the eggs are about to expire. I feel like I was just...
I don't know the eggs expire.
Or it was some sort of
In this
thing.
world,
Do the eggs?
in the backup plan-averse.
Yeah.
You freeze your eggs, they
Chicken
last for a
clock.
long time. A woman conceives twins through artificial insemination, then meets the man of her dreams on the very same day. It is Alex O'Loughlin. He is in the movie.
Is an
Not
actor
Patrick
or
Dempsey.
what? That's the star of the movie. Who's Alex O'Loughlin?
I think so.
Is the star of a movie? I've never heard this name in my life.
Maybe that seems to be the top two. I will tell you this that gets me very excited. Also in this movie, Happy Days is Tom Bosley.
All right. Well, just go skip through just the Bosley. It isn't Bosley? She doesn't get with Bosley?
If there is a movie from 2010 where Jennifer Lopez and like an 85-year-old Tom Bosley hook up, we would have known about it already, I think.
Would have been covered. Would have been a saga.
Alex O'Loughlin starred on Hawaii Five-0 for 10 years.
It's one of those. It's an alternate dimension celebrity.
If
it's a CBS or a USA person, I've never heard of them.
A handsome guy, yeah. And then he had other TV shows. Moonlight and Three Rivers were previous shows he was on.
Okay. All right. World of Motion. We'll try to get more stats out about Backup Plan as we go, but stats about World of Motion. Here's one of those. Okay, I figure we're gonna get into that area that always comes up of where we have like if any of us went on that, and I would have been on this when I was like 7 or 9. We all have that fog of like, okay, which one is this the one with Mona Lisa? Yes. Is it the one with the cavemen? Well, a lot of them have cavemen. Is it the one with the orange smell, as Engineer Jordan said? Like you get a lot of these dark rides mixed up, and in trying to parse which is which and what makes World of Motion special, I just want to talk about like, are there definitive ways that World of Motion was the best? Is there an area where we think we got backup? We're looking at Backup Plan now. There's Alex O'Loughlin. I've never seen this man in my life. He's the star of a movie.
In a TV show, he's so rich, he's so famous to certain people, and you've never heard
people
of him
would be
in your life.
shaking
And I haven't.
Yeah.
No offense, I think he might be a great actor. He might be awesome.
Well, people might be shaking to meet us too, and he assuredly has never heard of Scott, Mike, and Jason.
O'Loughlin Hive, rise up. Get our asses.
No, don't. What if they're mean? Okay. Areas where World of Motion might be the best one. And let me just throw some stats out. Because it at least is like the winner in some capacities. I think probably the winner of longest Omni Mover, 1,750 feet. That is very, very long. This is a long ride. 15 minutes, we said. That's incredible. So
I don't know if that was an estimate. I don't know.
I think that's about
is that
where
right?
It is.
It definitely feels long. Like there's a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
And you can tell when they spent through their budget when you get to Center Core. The city at the end.
I think it might have been cool, though. It's just hard to tell on video.
Yeah.
I think it does look cool. I think it was cool, yeah.
I think the video is so crappy on it. It all culminates in like you're driving by a big futuristic city, which is like minimal and dark, true, but no animatronics by that point. But I think maybe video isn't doing it justice. So it's very long. That's good. High ride capacity. I don't know capacities to save my life, but I know this thing 3,240 guests an hour.
Highest in the park at that time.
Wow. For comparison, Space Mountain 2,000, Haunted Mansion 2,400. This might be one of the highest ride capacities ever. This could swallow so many people every hour, and yet still had a very long line when it opened, even though the capacity was crazy. So putting up good stats, but does it have the emotional pull? Mike, is there any area where you think you've gone over this and gone, well, I think this does this the best or that the best?
I think the ending is maybe other than like Figment, I do feel like maybe this has the best ending of all of the original I say it lovingly, boring Epcot dark rides. Because it does that city. I for sure went on this as a kid. There's some video of us going on it. I don't think we have video of the ride, but there's a video of us on the ride vehicle as we start when we were little. And I do, when I watch the videos, I do remember the end, and I think that it's seemingly a great finale.
I want to give some credit to the start, like going in the Omni Mover, going up like in a spiral almost outside.
Yeah,
where you get almost like a picture frame view of Spaceship Earth, and later on the Horizons building.
Yeah.
That's just very cool and unique, and was probably a pain in the ass to deal with during Florida thunderstorms and hurricanes.
Was it covered, though? It had a roof.
It has a roof, but it's open. It's open to the outside.
It's interesting because if you even stack up Horizons and World of Motion, and then you put it up against Spaceship Earth, which is the last one standing, basically at this point
for us to cover. You mean, or that exists?
Period.
Still? Oh, I see.
Right, that exists. Yeah.
Right.
You probably can make an argument that a lot of elements of Horizons World of Motion are better than Spaceship Earth. It's just that Spaceship Earth is in the ball. It's in the iconic ball.
And the elevation really,
and that's such a cool element to know you're in the ball. And then at the end, even though like I always as a kid was really impressed, obviously at the end of Spaceship Earth when you're like, that's the ball. We're inside the ball. So like that element always was really impressive. But when you watch the video, you go, maybe the robot parts of these rides were better than Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the novelty of being in the ball, you're exactly right. And this one, the novelty, I think, comes from more, like, comedic scenes, you know?
Yeah, but it's still Epcot, and it's still, as we've talked before, it's a big, long, experimental concept album where all the rides blend together. And it's not like we're doing pop songs like Pirates. We're doing more free-form songs where it's not like tight. The rides aren't tight. They feel a little messy to me. And there's great stuff in all the rides. But
they
it
all have like
doesn't
big, like
hang.
empty rooms. I feel like there were like that came
yeah.
up with Carly in the Maelstrom or the Frozen ride. Like it's empty for a little bit. I feel like every one of these rides was just dark for at least like 45 seconds. Am I crazy?
It's hard to know with these old videos exactly how they played.
Yeah.
But I do like. It is interesting because when you think about Pirates on Haunted Mansion, it's like all killer stuff.
But those have genre tropes to fall back on. You have pirate stories to fall back on, ghosts to fall back on. These are, you said concept albums, nebulous concepts. Communication, transportation, Horizons, like the future. Transportation, probably the cleanest.
Yeah.
The
Definitely.
cleanest of the concepts.
Which
I
gives you
agree.
like a quicker into like what are we going to show? All right, well it will be like early fumbling attempts at how we get around as humans up through like things getting kooky in the 20s and then much higher tech.
And some of the history stuff, the history gags in this almost reminded me more of like Jay Ward cartoons than Disney cartoons. In terms of like Peabody and Sherman, like I feel like
reinventing, like here's a fun rewrite of history instead of like accurate. Spaceship Earth is a little like humorless. That's not the point of Spaceship Earth. But this takes some liberties of making jokes about Da Vinci or Columbus or whatever.
Or like applying like vaudeville or Borscht Belt kind of jokes to like historic, like used Chariot lot. Feels like it would be in like a Bullwinkle cartoon or something.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Well, is this an area where it maybe tops the others? Is the fun and the comedy? Because I still, maybe my heart wants to say Horizons is my favorite, but Horizons is not about, you're not laughing in Horizons, certainly.
No. I think this wins for animatronics and scenes. And then Horizons might win in terms of sets.
Yeah,
I feel
scope.
like there's
just
that's
incredible
true.
environments and like inventive and the like the multiple futures you could chart and
And then again, Martin pointed out in his video the combination of like kind of dry factual narration with like gags, scenes, like whimsical scenes. That is an interesting like interplay. Yeah. And you get a lot of mixed media stuff too, with like animatronics and projected animation or projected like stock footage.
Oh, everything on screens is really fun. It is like it's like an early supplementary screen ride. It's not a screen ride, but there's lots of screens that like help transport you or support what the animatronics are doing.
Yeah, it's interesting. So it all feels like and we've talked about this on Horizons, and there's some literal character parallels, whatever the word is. But like it's all Carousel Progress. It feels like this is all born. These are longer sort of versions, kind of born out of the Carousel of Progress and that sort of style of like talking about progress, technology, and whatever. Mm-hmm. But it is interesting to think about. Carousel Progress is such a, and I hate it's so annoying that I keep saying this, but it's like Carousel Progress to me is like got a great song. The ride feels so tight as far as like no dead space in it. And then you go on this thing, and it's like it's more freewheeling. The song isn't nearly as good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give a lot. It's not the best Epcot song, I won't say.
Not at all. And it
Fun to Be Free is the song. I referenced it in the opening joke. And I feel like I always assumed when preparing the episode, I was like, oh, then I'll look it up, and I'm sure I will be awash with nostalgia for the great song "Fun to Be Free." And then it didn't really take for me.
Not a great song. And also, I wonder if I hate to be like, what would Walt have done? But I wonder with Small World or anything. I wonder if it was Walt who was and then we need kind of a refrain on some of these experiences that kind of fills in the transition spaces on the ride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because that's such a Small World. I know people think it's annoying, and it is a little bit sometimes, but
very
it's
memorable.
such a
it's a hook for sure.
It's such interest. It's so interesting that these rides don't feel like they have that rhythm that some of those older rides do. They feel looser in structure.
It does have the Small World trick of that song in lots of different styles. Maybe
that's
even
true, yeah.
more different styles. And to some extent, it is an earworm. It did get stuck in my head last night, but I wasn't excited about that. I think
you were upset.
It was fine. I didn't feel one way or another about it. Not in the way that the original Listen to the Land song that when we talked about that ride, it's where is this? Let's get this song back in here. This
song.
song.
20% improvement. Just put the fucking song.
Yeah.
Universe of Energy, which we're not so high on, I think.
But the song.
Both songs.
Yeah.
Those are the best Epcot songs.
Song.
Now that we've kind of been through a lot of them, or Imagination could be.
Imagination's up there. I think I do. The Universe of Energy is so great.
That main
that
"Here
song.
We Go, Feel the Flow."
Yeah,
that's got some real. That gets me a little pumped. You want to hear? You want to hear one that's not good? That's not in the ride, but that is related to the ride.
Yes.
And I'm sure Jason, I feel like you were already talking about these weird promotional videos, which we need to talk about. One of them, there's a video that they put out, it seems like internal for GM, mainly. It's called Reality of Dreams. And Jordan, if you could pull up the clip, Reality of Dreams. Again, song not in the ride, but all around the past has met the present to enlighten and astound the world of motion. What a notion! How incredible it seems that we could manufacture reality of dreams. Was I wrong? Was I wrong to hate on that?
Not
what do we think
feeling
of reality
it.
Of? Yeah.
I think the verse on that is actually pretty fun and chill, but the chorus is a little bit
just
unpleasant.
Kind of too airy. Reality of dreams.
Yeah. I think that verse is good though. I was actually the verses. I was like, okay, maybe I'm into this, and then the chorus. I'm like, here's my thing to admit. When I did have that song in my head, even though I don't like it really. But I think what was in my head was that style of singing. I couldn't stop doing it. Reality of dreams. And I was getting ready this morning, and my wife walked in on me in the bedroom, and I was singing that next to the bed, reality of dreams. But I was about to take a shower, so I had a shirt but no pants on, and I was about a foot away from the cat. And she walks in on this tableau like, what are you serenading the cat naked?
Winnie
what the fuck is this?
Winnie the Poohing it.
Yeah, Pooh Bear.
Donald Duck in your ass.
Hey, Bunny, I got a show. Bunny, can I teach you about the reality of dreams? I did now. Look, I just wasn't thinking, and I was not aware of the fact that I wasn't wearing pants, and I definitely was not putting on a show for my cat that involved whipping my junk around for her amusement. I swear.
God.
You said she was a little under the weather too. So imagine walking into that and just being like, "What the fuck is this? I'm already blowing my nose nonstop. This sucks."
Last thing I need. Whatever weird cat show you're doing.
Can I ask? Is that off the top of your head? Is that one of the weirdest things she's walked in on?
I don't know. I mean, it's always, because, hey, when you're living with a comedian, there's wigs a flying. You never know what the... I can't think of anything weirder. Now that I add it up, especially that, like, if she didn't grill me, but if she had, like, what was the song? Oh, that was a song from World of Motion. Well, not from World of Motion, from an internal GM video called Reality of Dreams promoting World of Motion. The level of... It's pretty unexplainable, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know if I have anything that beats the Winnie the Pooh style, but I mean, the amount of times Lindsay walks in and I'm like listening and singing along to like Brent Spiner's jazz album or something. She's
More,
like,
you
"What
think
is
more
this?"
than once Brett Spiner's jazz album?
I've done it. Yeah, or I should say old standards. It's not. Maybe some is jazzy, but it's not.
We got to know the genre of the.
It's like more old
It's like
standards,
I get
yeah.
a kick out of you.
It's like big band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's McFarlane stuff.
Yeah, old Yellow
Seth
Eyes is
Seth
back,
MacFarlane.
correct.
My Bonnie
Old
lies
Yellow
over
Eyes
the
is back,
ocean.
yeah.
So that's Reality of Dreams. Do we want to talk a little about these videos? And we'll say some more stuff that we like about the ride, but I have some little moments from what I'm talking about is, so there was that video, there's Reality of Dreams, and then there is this other one called Make Your Own Magic.
Yeah, that's the one I watched.
Yeah,
I had a
I've seen
tape
that.
of this, and I was like,
Okay.
why did I have a tape of this? Because it also feels like internal General Motors promotion of Disney. It felt like it's, telling employees, hey, we have a ride now, you should maybe go there, and here's what else is at Disney World. But I realized that there was a time where if you left this ride, they gave you a little slip, and it said free offer from GM if you give us your address. And you think, oh, a car? No, a tape. And the tape, so I think that's why I think my parents must have filled out this form and then gotten a tape promoting the place that we just came back from.
Yeah, I gotta say, I misjudged this one just on the preview image. I thought it was gonna be. It's mostly a Disney World promotional video.
Yeah.
With little snippets of World of Motion, mostly at the end, but then intercut throughout. They kind of tease it a little.
Yeah, but they take you through. It's like all the footage we know. Like there's one shot of people walking past Spaceship Earth, and right as the monorail goes by, that is in everything, every piece of Disney World footage or special or sitcom. Or there's like flying over Mickey on top of Spaceship Earth. They use all the footage that we know, which I've watched dozens and dozens of times. So I'm always happy to see it. But when you're talking about why you misjudged the video, is it because of the boring man in the thumbnail?
Yeah, there's a very boring man in the thumbnail, and I was like, all right, let's go.
I believe Jordan has the boring man queued up. Here he is now.
There's something for everybody here.
Something for everybody. Today we've come to expect, even demand, variety in almost everything that affects the quality of our lives. The history of transportation here at the World of Motion shows how people throughout the ages have searched for and found better ways to get from here to there.
That speech goes so much longer than what I just showed that I mercifully cut it off.
You know what? I forgot about the his name on screen because I was just like, man, I like that sport coat.
Yes, it is a really striking, like, baby blue. It's kind of a Johnny Carson suit a little bit.
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very straight. It feels very. It doesn't feel
The
80s.
tie
It
looks
feels
good,
It feels
too.
mid 70s. Like he is. Robert Stempel, the CEO of General Motors, may have gotten stuck in. Hey, there he is. He might have
Scott,
there's one type of suit I like, and that's what I wear. Don't buy me anymore. Keep cleaning the one.
Scott, how does that compare to was it Carl Wilson's jacket? Was it a blue jacket you've always wanted to own?
No, that's a green jacket, a green shiny
jacket, excuse me.
jacket that he wore in a concert that they filmed in the early '80s, and there's no question that's the
That's
I
the winner.
admire Robert Stempel's jacket, but I don't think I would wear it myself. Carl Wilson's
Okay.
jacket I would wear every day.
I'm still waiting for you to find it and wear it all the time.
I've not made any particular effort. That'll be the next thing Aaron walks in on. Carl Wilson jacket. How much are you paying at this auction?
Then
Or
she finds you just
savings?
wearing it with nothing else. It's just the jacket, no
singing
shirt, no
to the
pants.
singing Carl Wilson songs. Traitor.
I also think I have a real vintage tie from my dad, and I think it's pretty close to that tie, like from the 70s or 80s. So like, man, I might have to get like a Stempel cosplay. The black pants, with the sport coat is very
Stempel
striking. It's a
cosplay.
choice.
if you had a live show or at like a D23 type thing, dressed like that, I mean, you would have to have visual reference, but if you dressed like this and wore glasses like that, slicked your hair back, I mean, you could bald cap it. I don't want to make you spend more money.
Look, Time's already doing that to me, so I don't think I'll have to work too hard on that one.
Well, anyway, just print out a lower third for yourself that says Robert Stemple.
Robert
Chairman
Stemple.
of
The crowd just
Motors.
going insane, like people just screaming. It's like the Beatles are here again.
Maybe now that we've dropped it. Yeah. Wow. We're here for the show. We're Jason
Stempling.
We're recording this while D23 is just starting, and I wonder if are there any Stemple cosplayers on the floor right now? I don't think so. I think this would be a totally unique Disney World related cosplay.
Disney bounding as Robert Stemple.
Like a hot 22-year-old
There you go.
jacked guy cosplaying.
What's up,
bounding
fam?
as Stemple.
We're
Cut
checking
off
out the new
jacket.
Halloween cake here at Disneyland, and I'm dressed like Robert Stemple.
Cut off sleeves from the jacket, like the blue jacket, cut off sleeves, and he's like jacked. His arms are huge.
Or a beautiful girl. I'm watching her vlog. Like, why am I so in love with this Robert Stemple?
Yeah. All right, everyone. Let's meet up at the Disney Bundle stage, and you'll know how to find me. I'll be dressed like Robert Stemple.
Was there ever a discussion to make a Park Star vinyl figure of Robert Stemple? Maybe somebody threw it out there. It didn't happen, but maybe somebody threw the idea out.
A lot of people filled out the free offer. A lot of people sitting on that tape, and we are cutting that business off if we don't make a little toy of Robert Stemple.
That's right.
He's the chairman and the CEO, don't forget. So
That's right.
And he knows you want freedom, the freedom to choose which very angular car
which bizarre, undrivable car you want. Robert Stemple, incidentally, 15 years before he filmed this dry intro, his son was kidnapped. His 13-year-old was just picked up in a car, thrown into the trunk, where he remained for 2 days straight. And the kidnappers demanded $125,000, which he paid, but they did the old the police knew the numbers, and so they tracked the money and got him. They actually only tracked one of the guys, and the one ratted out the other immediately. Like, they didn't even know there was a second guy. So these kidnappers, this was a very poorly put together plan. But the 13-year-old. This guy's son, Stemple's son, carved his own name into the trunk. Like, he found a blunt object and put his name in there. So, like, if they find the car, they'll know that's the guy's.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that
It's a
smart?
resourceful
That
kid.
is really smart.
There's a tip. If you get kidnapped, an audience, boy do I hope that none of you get kidnapped. But if you do, stemple it. All the stemples are.
But
sharp.
write your name. Don't write Stemple.
Don't write. Robert Stemple's 13-year-old son.
Oh, shit. I wrote the wrong. Oh, no.
I wrote Stemple.
I knew I had.
I do have a bit of an axe to grind with General Motors.
Yes, sure.
Because do you
Grind that
guys
axe.
remember that ignition switch recall? This
No.
massive recall from like, I guess, what would it be? Like 7 or 8 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that your car could just turn off sometimes. And
In the middle of a drive.
in the middle of a drive, or if it was jostled a little. And I had a Saturn Ion, which was a GM car, and fell under that recall. And I had to I had issues. I started having issues where my car, I would turn it on and it wouldn't start, and then the key wouldn't come out. And the bigger issue, this only happened to me, thank God, one time. I went over like a speed bump, like an uneven like part of the road when I was like first moved out here, was doing like a PA job, doing a run in Long Beach. And my car like really came down hard like over this bump, and it slowly just turned off. And like thankfully I was in like a residential neighborhood, but I just pulled over and I was like, what's going on? And I like let it sit for 5 minutes and turned it back on, and it was normal. And then like 5 or 6 years later, I started having this issue where I thought like, oh, is my battery dead? What's wrong? My car won't start. And Eventually, the dealership said, like, oh, this is part of the recall. We don't have the parts yet, but hold on. And they took a screwdriver and popped a panel off on my steering column. And they're like, if your key's stuck in the ignition, hit this button and you can release it. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, this was
Secret buttons?
years-long problem with my old car. And eventually, I got the free, like, recall work done, and it fixed it all. But it was like there were thousands and thousands of cars in America that had issues with that.
That went over a bump.
Whenever
once.
a bump.
And then,
or,
sorry, I'm going to need a minute. Give me a second.
Yeah, basically.
I'll be okay. Just give me an hour, buddy. I'll be fine.
Or just weird, like, hey, I was 20 minutes late from work because my car wouldn't start, and then it released the key, and then it started fine. I think it was on cold mornings it would do this.
This is scarcely an improvement from the days of making zebras carry all your belongings.
No,
or
I'd rather
marching
have
on
a
foot.
hot foot in the cave. It was simpler when I had a hot foot.
You'll be fine. Yikes. Wow. So you're telling me that GM is not, that the products are not always quality, despite what our beloved theme park told us?
Just saying. I know it's American made, but haven't had any issues otherwise with my Honda. With a Honda Civic. So,
I also have a General Motors beef, which is related to a CEO. I was like, so who else? Well, first of all, the history is very spotted of the CEOs. I mean, Robert Stempel seems solid. We love Stempel. We're going to cosplay Stempel. We agree on that. But the guy before that, the CEO when this ride opened was Roger Smith. That's Roger and Me. That's like the guy that's who the movie's about. Yeah, that's who started Michael Moore's career and killed Flint, Michigan. And and so they would hand out pamphlets telling you about the fine GM products that don't die immediately after going over one bump. And there's like a smiling photo of Roger Smith as probably you could have, the movie was out and you might get handed this pamphlet. So weird there. But then so I went and found this was an internal GM magazine, employee newsletter or something called News and Views. And this is from 1982 when Epcot opened, when World of Motion opened. And this was just an article, right? And it said the very first line of the article was, Walt Disney would have liked Alfred Sloan. I'm like, that's an interesting assertion. Well, who is Alfred Sloan? I guess anyone reading this, if you work for General Motors, you know who that is. So let me do a quick Google. Oh, Alfred Sloan, the first CEO of General Motors, the beginning of this lineage that leads to Roger and Stempel. Okay, so he built the company into what it is today, right? His Wikipedia has the headline criticism. Well, what could there be to criticize him for? Oh, Nazi collaboration. So the first CEO. The story here is that GM also owned a German auto manufacturer called Opel, and Hitler is starting to gear up in the 30s, and some shareholders are saying, hey, maybe we should not be running Opel anymore. What do you think, Alfred Sloan? And he said, we have no right to shut down the plant. In other words, to put the proposition rather bluntly, such matters should not be considered the business of the management of General Motors. Then a year later, the invasion of Poland began, the Blitzkrieg, and all of the trucks used in the Blitzkrieg were built by General Motors.
Oh my God.
1 year after he said, don't worry about it, shut up. So, just to remind you how we got to that guy, the phrase was, Walt Disney would have liked Alfred Sloan. And within 5 seconds, I got to, Alfred Sloan built all of the artillery for the invasion of Poland.
What was the Nazi scientist guy that was affiliated with Tomorrowland?
Oh, in the opening
Werner?
day special. Well, Werner von Braun, all the Operation Paperclip, all the scientists they got out of Europe, and then ushered to America to work on weapons or start NASA. A lot of them show up in Disney's documentaries and Tomorrowland stuff. Yeah.
Always just a stone's throw away.
Always a stone. Yeah.
Nazi collaborators.
You'd think
good.
General Motors. I truly thought they were going to be in the clear. I thought you were going to make the leap to Mercedes-Benz or BMW because they have those are German automakers that have not great. There's a section of the tour missing.
Oh,
you know?
right, yes. No, somehow the American company found their way, and they built bombers and landmines and torpedo detonators.
Jeez
and apparently
Louise.
this guy did not resign from the board throughout the whole of World War II. And again, Walt Disney would have liked Alfred Sloan. His best buds, Mickey Mouse and Pluto and Alfred Sloan. And then a more innocuous CEO, Harlow Curtis. He didn't work with the Nazis, but after he retired, he was on a hunting trip in Canada with the retired vice president of GM, and he accidentally shot and killed him.
What?
Just a hunting trip. We're hunting ducks, and then he killed his own former vice president.
Vice presidents shouldn't go on hunting trips. Is really what you're saying.
On either
in
side,
general,
they're gonna do
any vice. Yeah,
they're gonna shoot somebody in the face, or they're gonna get shot in the face. If you are or have ever been a vice president, stay
do
away.
not go hunting.
You'd rather be a moose out in the field than a vice president.
It's why they're not president. It's why they're vice president. Poor aim. Notoriously poor aim.
Poor aim from ducking away from a bullet
Yeah.
too. Poor aim on both sides.
Or
When I get invited on a hunting trip, I always ask, "Are any vice presidents coming along?"
Raise your hand, vice presidents. Raise your hand.
Yeah.
or they have great aim and they have an axe to grind. You know,
Also possible.
very possible.
Yeah, use these hunting trips as cover. We're on
Wow.
to you, vice presidents of the world.
We know.
Is there a vice president of Disney right now? I don't know if we know who's who. We'll keep an eye on them. Anyway, so these are some of the great people who are bringing us this attraction. But it's just, this is how it goes. We've run into this many times. There has to be horror shows of human beings to finance our animatronics. If we start talking about some of the stuff in the ride, this has been alluded to already. The high volume of animatronics, crazy. This could be a record that World of Motion has. Now, it depends on the source, because I've seen a lot of things that say 188 animatronics, but I've seen some that lowball it at 130. That might have to do with figures. Like 130 of them are human proportion, and then the rest are like objects, or I don't know if chickens count. So it depends. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say 188, which is crazy. I don't know a lot of these numbers. Pirates, 119. 109 Haunted Mansion. 114 America Sings. We know that one had a ton. 163 in Sinbad, our beloved Sinbad, in Tokyo. So this might be the record of audio animatronic. That's a lot, almost 200.
Yeah, that feels like, maybe it's just because it hasn't been around so long, but I was shocked when I was like, yeah, this thing has the most robots.
It's really crazy. And then little for the 40th anniversary of Epcot, let's give this park some credit for what it did to the robot population of the Earth on just the day that it opened. So that's let's say 188 just for World of Motion. Then you start thinking about all the other rides. There's a ton in all of them. We do it fast. American Adventure 35, Listen to the Land 35, Universe of Energy 34, Spaceship Earth 63. I'm not sure about all these. These are their estimates, so we'll fuzz it. Kitchen Cabaret has a lot, 28. Well, Horizon's not opening yet, or not open yet on opening day. So just October 1st, 1982. A conservative estimate would be 381 robots. And it might be more. It might be north of 400 on a single day. I don't think we give Epcot Center, for all the ways that we love Epcot, for the crazy architecture and the ambition of it, sheer robot count. That is nuts. A single theme park, 400 robots. God,
How has anything ever come close? Nothing will come close to that again.
Yeah,
There's just no
'cause they're
scenario.
all parks we're going to get cool rides here and there, but one of the only things where I might agree with you, Mike, in your otherwise grotesque breakdown of Transformers versus Rise of the Resistance, we do give, we're impressed that there's, 30 animatronics on something, but when the bar 40 years ago was almost 200 and 400 in a single park, what have we done? What's happened to our
This is
our
what they took
expectations?
from us.
Yeah.
We have to go back. I want to give an even more.
Make audio animatronics great again.
Yeah.
MAGA.
I want to give a more specific note for or accolade to World in Motion. A lot animatronics in the post-show area, in the what they called the Trans Center, which is what Ron DeSantis supporters call Disney World as a whole right now. It's their favorite. It's one of their favorite activities. After only frothing at the mouth and posting on Nextdoor, it's their favorite things to do. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff in the post-show area. Looks pretty fun. On this.
Oh yeah.
There was a robot and a bird doing a double act.
Guess what? I think that count that I gave. I think if it's 188, I don't think that even counts.
It
Bird and the
doesn't
Robot.
count Bird and Robot.
I think that takes it up to 190.
And then original
That's a lot.
animation at the Water Engine Theater.
That's a weird show.
That is
right?
a weird. Part of me wants to do a second gate just on the post-show area, just on the Trans Center, but I don't know if it's meaty enough.
Can I just read I found I was, I guess, looking at 80s magazines. Listen to the way this one, I think it was called like Industrial Design Magazine, was really mad at this post show, which is called
Really?
Water Engine. They hated it. They hated the whole park. They said GM takes the prize for vulgar excess with its ride through the history of transportation. And one of the things about it is a truly nasty multi-screen exhortation by a macho cowboy portrays anybody working on alternatives to the good old combustion engine as a creep, a crackpot, or a wimp.
Oh, yeah, I'm not endorsing the message of Water Engine. I was just impressed by original animation for, like, the walk-by post show.
Oh, the animation is all really fun. But yeah, they're not, I mean, I think this guy, we're saying nasty and...
Nasty,
It's a very nasty post show, let me tell you that. That is technically the premise, though, is that a good old American cowboy says, well, nothing's ever going to beat the engine, and then 7 weirdos show up to provide all possible alternatives to the engine. And then he just kind of sits there calmly and is like, yeah, not the engine, though. And they're all like, yeah, you're right. Okay, sorry.
He does give them credit. He's like, if anyone can pull it off, I'll happily endorse it, but I don't think so. And turns out that glum cowboy was right. Besides the plug-in, the begrudging plugins we have nowadays. Yeah,
especially the show's called Water Engine, and the one who says, what if there was an engine powered by water, is a Igor lab freak. Like I know a water engine. He's like a
Peter Lorre voice.
Yeah. He's like he's one step away from being put in an institution. So that's how crazy a water engine. Even though it's the name of the show. What a weird. Kids, you want to stick around for Water Engine? We got Water Engine starting in 4 minutes.
Mom,
you look
Dad.
tired, but Water Engine.
I don't care about dinner reservations. Let me just watch Water Engine one more time.
I can eat at home. I can't watch Water Engine at home.
In the new Guardians ride queue, and I really love the post-show Water Engine. That's my favorite video to watch.
Oh God, and Concept 2000, where GM showed you what cars might look like and how they might respond to different wind speeds. Love
awesome.
it.
Oh, so sweet.
Someone was mad at us when we posted that, and it's like, oh, sorry, this world-famous actor doesn't know as much as you 30-year-old guys. And it's
we already scolded that person.
They got scolded.
We're not. I don't think that was the criticism. I think the criticism was, hey man, maybe read over the script on the card of the sounds. Maybe give it a pass a couple times and ask some questions if you're not sure.
I think that depending on the level of and I'm not cutting them a break, but having worked at Funny or Die, I know the pressures of the celebrity is here for precisely 9.5 minutes. Go, and it shouldn't be that way with the rides. People should be excited to be on the rides. People are going to see that forever. But I have a feeling that second takes are always tough. If it's an A-list star, I think that I think Pratt was probably like looking at the door. That's where his eye line is. He's like, the door is open and his car door is open. And as soon as cut is called, he is barreling into it.
Yeah, he's in the middle of changing shoe. He's got one shoe on, one street shoe on, one costume shoe on, and then they're like, "Oh, we're not going to see your feet. Doesn't matter." Look, I guess I'm just a little naive. I'm just more like, "All right, everyone, we're putting on a show." Like,
No, you're
hey,
correct.
That's all.
I don't like. It's definitely not good. That's the only thing I could say about it is sympathy for. And you know what? I know from a different podcast that another A-lister, Will Smith, that he was like, they had no time with him on Men in Black.
Yeah.
And I don't approve of his slapping, but he did give it his all with his one-take performances in the Men in Black Alien Attack ride, far pre-slapping. That's the Will we want back. Nail his lines.
Jason's acting like on that Hulu commercial that's airing right now. They didn't say, "All right, we're going to try it again," and Jason goes, "No, I'm good. Oh, I did my one. I'll be back in the trailer. I'll be going to get a breakfast burrito.
Give me some cards. Put up the cards. I'll do another one if you give me cards. Make it
Look,
real big.
It's a lot of running, it's running and gunning in a heat wave, too. Shooting outside on a hill in a heat wave.
One take Sheridan.
Well, it
That's
wasn't.
what they
Hang
call
on.
you.
It wasn't when the heat wave was the worst, though. You're right. It was hot, but it wasn't.
Sorry,
August,
it was only 95. It wasn't 105. I
That is
apologize.
a difference
It is
these
a
days.
difference. No.
I guess the day where you were very stressed out because of the swimming. We haven't seen the swimming yet.
No, there's a bunch of other stuff that was shot, I think, just for social media, just for like Twitter and Instagram ads.
It was
and
just
stuff.
so funny that we were texting you about stuff and then you were flustered and like, guys, I'm sorry. It's been a lot of swimming and
I'm talking about hours in a pool. Hours in a pool. Like,
and is it like, it's like, how crazy is the swimming?
like I just, even in an inner tube, just treading water and then paddling back to one, like paddling back to set, or like on the side of a pool. And like, you'd think that'd be fine, but it's like, oh, the way they needed the background to be, we're in the deep end. So like, I'm like holding myself up and
You're
treading
dog
water.
paddling a little
Kind
bit.
of, yeah, a lot of dog paddling.
Are you a lazy? Let me ask you this: are you a lazy river guy?
I am a lazy river guy usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a big lazy river guy. Scott, ever been in a lazy river? What are your feelings on it?
Yeah, I love lazy rivers. Yeah.
Oh, I love a lazy river. Yeah, but that does a lot of the pushing for you.
And so you're saying that when you were in the inner tube, you weren't butt first sitting with your legs out, because that's the most relaxing position a human could be in.
No, I was step into it
You were like this,
and pull it up,
arms over,
and then
with
other
your
people were
feet
sitting in it. But
dangling.
even then, they're like, "All right, we kind of got to paddle back to the camera
okay.
mark."
Do you think, what is your guess, when the commercial comes out, do you think that it will be clear the amount of effort that was put into the swimming? Or are we going to watch it and it looks like
There's
you're
no
just
way.
sitting around?
There's no way it's clear.
No, because most commercials, whatever you give and whatever everyone was laughing and it's the best one, it's just the fastest one is probably what goes in, because you're judging by seconds.
So this is not going to seem like you were in a Greg Louganis biopic.
No. No.
Hey, it wasn't clear in the Wendy's commercial that I had to do stunt driving that they sprung on me about an hour before it happened, So I'm sure it's not going to be very clear of all the swimming Jason had to do.
Yeah, also, again, I'll say this was one of the most fun shoots I've ever been on. Like, this was like a delightful, and everyone was very good and stuff.
You hear that, Hulu?
So
he said
the
it,
Hulu
hire him
people
again.
were
Hire
so
him back.
nice.
Make him the
Mike,
face
he's
of
like,
Hulu,
my feet
Hulu.
were bleeding. It almost ripped my swim trunks off. It's almost naked like Scott singing to the cat.
The brand new, not my swim trunks wouldn't have been my choice necessarily. Swim trunks, yeah.
They couldn't afford a good string. It ripped right off. On the show, I couldn't say that, but okay. So let's say some ride stuff. We said high animatronic count. Who do we like? Who are our guys? Who are our fake guys in this ride?
Well,
Yeah.
I will say, for your theory of like stuff blending together.
Yeah.
I didn't remember exactly that it was in this ride, but the sea serpent looking into the guy's telescope, the goofy looking sea serpent.
I had no idea which one that was. Yeah.
But glued in my mind. Glued
It's
in my
very
mind. Like, I mean, I knew the traffic accident was in this scene because there's cars everywhere and a horse and stuff.
Yeah.
So that one is great.
That's neat. It's like possibly Columbus or a generic explorer. I don't know. But looking like Is the idea almost that like he has his telescope right up to that almost like the black pupil is filling the entire telescope, so he doesn't even know there is a full giant dragon?
Oh, that's fun.
staring
Yeah.
at him? Is that possibly the full gag? I mean,
That seems like it.
it's fun no matter how you slice it. That's cool. I like. Well, you get cavemen. You know what? I was going to say this I think this justifies how we feel where they all blend together a little bit for us. This is from an Imagineer. This is from why can't I find it? Jeez. The guy was Tim Delaney. That's right. Tim Delaney, who was the star of this documentary about Space Mountain in Paris. He was a bit like kind of pioneered the launch in a way, the ultimate launch queen. Tim Delaney. He worked for Imagineering and worked on a lot of these rides. And this was from the Defunct Land podcast. Kevin interviewed him. And this is an Imagineer saying this, that he just kind of flippantly says, well, you know, a lot of that early Epcot stuff, it's like basically all caveman to space shuttles. So even he is like, okay, it's another one where it's like, see, things were very simple, but now they are very high tech. And he said his specialty was the future stuff. Like, that's what he was really into. So I maybe have to credit this guy with a lot of the very good, and I think he had a lot to do with that ending, the Future City Center Core. He designed that, I believe. So he was like the Epcot future design guy, in which case he has my heart. But he said, I didn't mess around with the cavemen. They had good cavemen guys. They were covered on cavemen. I love that. That's like when Disney says we had good fake rock guys. Like cavemen was like, there were people who specialized in that. And are there cavemen in every one of these? Probably not Horizons, but
Yeah, I guess not. Oh yeah,
but it's definitely Spaceship Earth. You go back
Right.
pretty far.
Energy? Universe of Energy? Is that just dinosaurs
well,
and
there's
volcanoes?
dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Because they would be accurate. Cavemen were not around when dinosaurs were around.
This is kind of a universal reference point of like the Earth in the past, pre-man or pre-modern man, pre-modern civilization.
Right.
Yeah, and those are. I like the caveman. I like the guy blowing on his foot because it got all
Sure.
hot and scarred up.
I want to shout out the pig in the hot air balloon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which, I mean, that should be a go. I mean, I guess it's just because it's not around, but that should be like a Big Thunder Mountain goat, I feel like. Pig in the hot air balloon.
Yeah.
Pig has got a real kind of creepy grin on its face.
You got a
It's
couple.
really
You got a couple of
enjoying it.
pigs, correct? Because then you got the pig. Maybe
Yes.
one of the more memorable tableaus is the guy in the white Mark Twain suit landing in the mud, and there's pigs around him.
Another Pirates gag, a very similar Pirates gag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy seems like he's in there not by choice, whereas the pirate in the slop seems like he loves being there with the pig.
He wants to be there.
Yeah. I mean, they're
yeah.
still kind of inventing the modern Disney dark ride, animatronic loaded up dark ride,
But yeah, keep another. I mean, the robots are good. I don't want to make it seem like I don't like this because there's so many good robots, like the Newsy boys and stuff that come later.
Oh yeah. Oh, the ice picking boy.
Yeah.
They're picking apart the big block of ice.
The ice. I like the there is the just married car. And then the car full of rowdy college students. That's what college students did for fun in the past. They just put too many people in a phone booth or too many people in a car. But there's banners above the one. There's projections going on at the same time. There's banners above the newlyweds that say Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair referring to the phrase, I looked this up on Merriam-Webster.com, a scene or place characterized by frivolity and ostentation. So this was a phrase before the magazine Vanity Fair.
That's why it's called that.
But the weirder banner I want to talk about, above the college kids, there is a banner that says college humor.
Oh, yeah. I think College Humor was maybe a magazine before the one that we know. Before
In the past.
Yeah. I saw that in some article.
I think,
that
again,
jumped out at me as weird. Yeah, I think that name may have existed
humorous frivolity, like, of a piece with Vanity Fair, it feels like. Like, look at these outrageous... They've all got Letterman jackets on, and they're sitting on the top of a flagpole. Can you believe the youth?
But it did
Wild
not
youth.
overlap with the website. It was not... There were no further... They didn't reference Streeter. There's no
No, no.
what
Zach
can I-
Oyama, baby Zach Oyama, came along after this ride.
Yeah. Here's one I would like to talk about, which is the you get into the flight is taken off. There's a lot of, which also is confusing because you had that Delta Dream flight that gets into, it's the crazy history of plane. That has like 1920s stuff and weird barnstorming planes. So there's probably memories we all have that we think are in this, but are actually in Delta Dream flight. So it goes to Magic Kingdom too. But this does have a woman who's really impressed to be next to a real barnstorming pilot, and I just have this on my computer. I don't have it. Let me get it on camera. But this is like, there's this guy who has the aviation cap and a mustache, and this guy always kind of scared me. And if he's in like Epcot promotional videos, he scares me. I think his face is so sharp. It's a big sharp chin and a big sharp nose. He's too big. Like the other animatronics in this ride are really realistic, and then he's scary. He's like the Fibbler or something.
She looks like a 70s woman. She looks like they're like, make
Faye
this
Dunaway.
look yes, he looks a little like Faye Dunaway or Sybil Shepherd.
Yeah.
And then he looks like when Snidely Whiplash wears a disguise. When Snidely Whiplash is trying to fool everyone, so he makes himself look not like creepy, and everyone's like, "Oh, who's this count? Who's this captain of industry?"
This would look if Jay Leno was like wearing prosthetics for a sketch for a hidden camera gotcha.
Yeah.
Look like this pilot. Anyway,
Well, was that a nod? I mean, it was not a nod to the future with Jay's Big Dog. Like, obviously, Jay wasn't well known as a car guy back then, so it was just a happy coincidence.
I don't think this is a nod to, at the time, David Letterman,
Regular guest on David
guest,
Letterman's late night show.
I don't believe he is, and they probably wouldn't have put a mustache on him. But maybe, I don't know. Might have been the inspiration, though.
So sorry. Merriam-Webster.com covered in Pinocchio. So I'm just realizing they're playing in the background. This dictionary
For
website
ads?
covered
Ads?
in ads for live action Pinocchio. So I guess that's what I've been looking up.
Happy Disney Plus Day, everyone.
Yes, happy Disney
Belated,
Plus Day.
yes.
I like that there's a scene of a train robbery. So we're learning about motion, and we're also learning now, because of the invention of different modes of transportation, we learn also that you can be robbed in transit to some place on one of your favorite modes of transportation. So I honestly think they should have stuck with this and shown robberies happening on every different type of transit.
Who knows? And maybe someday robberies on a hovercraft.
Yeah, like a future robot comes down with a laser gun, people's hands in the air. It's just a very funny thing to put in the middle of like the positive. I mean, I guess it's a gag because there's like a guy in a fun like little suit, and I guess you could say that. I don't know. I was going to say that maybe they're rich people, so he's robbing from the rich, but I don't know. They're not really indicating. I guess they're not indicating class or status.
You don't really see the size of the money bags, no. But yeah, I know it's like presented as comical, but then the guy, there's a guy who has a gun like an inch away from his face, and he is shaking. That's his animation, as he is trembling. Like, wait, that's actually, the more you stare at it,
You have a choice to make. Flip a coin. Heads, tails.
It would be like on Carousel of Progress if he's like, well, my identity was stolen again. Folks, what happens is someone takes your social security number, and then they take all of the things, and they can use your credit cards, and then you have to get it back, and it's a long process. Boy, do I not like my identity being stolen.
Oh, my next.
That's progress, I guess.
cost of progress. I didn't like it happening, but I did appreciate the progress.
Right.
So noisy around here with the next door neighbor out. Fella named Martin Shkreli is going off to jail. He's moving out.
He's got a special album, though, that's still in the house. Only one of a kind.
The scene rotates. Well, this is progress. Martin Shkreli out of jail, starting something called a Web3 company. I'm still trying to just log on to AOL. That's progress for you.
And each scene just is about Martin Shkreli. Now, what does the future hold for Martin Shkreli?
Oh, due to the agreement with the contract, because the United States government now owns the Wu-Tang Clan album, they are free to release it as there was only supposed to be one owner.
Uncle Orville invested too much in Ethereum. And the crash happened mere weeks ago. So needless to say, Uncle Orville has no money left. And he did it all on a smartphone.
No privacy at all around.
In fact, this isn't our house. This is a set that we snuck into. Then security guards show up. Oh, crap. Gotta go. Hey, kids.
Lost the house trying to buy GameStop stock, and then Robinhood app wouldn't let me take my winnings out.
Movie Pass seemed like a good opportunity at the time. And also a laugh.
It's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
My new job at Quibi will last forever.
They're flipping videos 2 ways now. Who'd have thunk it?
So it is interesting to see that portrayed in that way on this.
Yeah. Oh, and well, I got something about the train robbery. This is something to say. This is a lot of animatronics, and this ride disappears in 1996, very beginning of '96. And you don't just throw 188 animatronics in the garbage. That doesn't seem right. They were trying to find some other purposes for all of them. And I remember strongly, I think it was later in that year, or it could have been 97, that the first of the umpteenth Pirates redos happened. And where the headline of it was, "The women are chasing the men now. How will society ever continue?" But I went on it when it reopened, and my main thought was, are those the animatronics from the World of Motion? And I don't know if they're still there, all of them, but like they added extra animals, especially. There's pigs, I believe. Your beloved pigs, I think, showed up in Pirates somewhere, and maybe some
chickens.
I think some of the chickens went to the ride Goofy's Barnstormer.
Oh, okay.
I think they had chickens popping up in the barn. There's some characters who they added. I don't know what they're doing in Pirate, but like in World of Motion, they're pulling on ropes to control horses and donkeys that are getting out of control. And I think similar stuff's happening in Pirates, and they just put like pirate rags on them. So at least some of these characters ended up in Pirates, but there's one that, and I've only found one source saying this, so I don't know if I believe it. This is just the website waltdatedworld.com, and they said that one of the animatronics, when this ride closed, moved a few feet over at Epcot Center and was repurposed to become the Ellen DeGeneres animatronic in the bizarre redo ride Ellen's Energy Adventure.
Wow.
I really tried to find other sources on this, and I couldn't. But then I was like, I want to figure out if there's any truth to this. So I started looking at animatronic. There's a lot to go through with 188. I'm like looking for posture, basically. As I said, there's robots that are pulling a rope, and if you remember Ellen, and that's a big if you remember the Ellen robot, she has a big branch, and she's trying to either feed or fend off a big dinosaur. So I'm like, well, is it one of the rope holding ones? No, I think they're scrunched too much, and they ended up in Pirates anyway. But I have one candidate, and I want to see if you guys think this could be Ellen. Jordan, can you pull up the photo, Ellen? This is the only possible one to me. And just hear me out for the listeners. So Ellen is holding a big branch. This train robber is also holding items, not one big item, but a hat to put money in with one hand, and like taking a chain, robbing a piece of jewelry with the other. And the legs are bent at a similar angle, not very. That's not like a 45 degree. That's just like a little 3-degree bend. And maybe I'm just thrown because the hair is a little similar. Like it's both kind of this dirty blonde, and then and it's like khaki shirts. But they redressed the animatronic, I'm sure. Am I crazy? Is this the only one I think that possibly could be Ellen in hiding?
Well, I think a couple things I have questions on.
Yeah.
One is how customizable are arm movements? Because the arm movement in the train robber is like doing two different things. It's got the gun, it's got the hat. Ellen is holding the branch very low, much more different position.
Absolutely, but think about this. The hands are constructed to be holding something, and maybe you just move them down.
You just move them down and then reprogram.
I bet
maybe
that's possible.
Stuff. I think that's okay.
But they didn't have to remold hands. And look at the angle on the left hand. I think there's like a little bit of an elbow bend.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm thinking about what I remember from Superstar Limo, where Drew Carey was a robot that was holding a bunch of maps to the stars' homes, and they got converted to a Monsters, Inc. robot that's also holding a bunch of pictures that say, "Have you seen this child?" So I'm using that logic. Like, okay, they probably, if it was holding something, it still has to be holding something. But I think you could move those arms down.
Okay, my other question then is, with the bank robber, what's under the bandana? Did they finish the face?
Oh yes, do you finish a character's face? What if the hair looks pretty similar? What if they did the math and said, I think that could pass for Ellen. All we have to do is put kind of female features on the lower half of the face, which right now is just pure robot. It's just pure, there's just no skin under that mask.
Yeah.
You make a very good case. I think it seems very possible.
It doesn't seem that crazy. But again, I only saw this on one. I think it's either this train robber is hiding out as Ellen to get away from. They're on the lam posing as Ellen, or this fact is not true, and this was a custom Ellen DeGeneres robot. However, this robot has always been very bizarre, correct?
Awful,
Very
bad
very
robot.
weird.
So it would have to be reuse. I would.
I was
think,
explaining all of this to Aaron and saying, okay, so I have a theory. Now, what do you think? And I pulled up a picture and I said, okay, so here's Ellen, and she said, okay, now show me Ellen. And I was like, no, that's Ellen. Wait, the one we're looking at right now is supposed to be Ellen DeGeneres. Yes. This is the after I'm showing
Right.
you.
And then she said, "Please, also put pants on, please."
Why must you conduct all of your business and put the cat down, for God's sake?
Yeah.
Scott, please. The boy learns from watching his parents.
He needs to know the anatomy you'll have one day. I'm teaching him a lesson at all times.
Ellen looks like Lady Elaine Fairchild from Mr. Rogers.
Oh, yeah, that big version of that Mr. Rogers puppet. Oh, we're zooming in. Thank you, Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very like
That
a very
also-
stern
that was
bowl
very
cut
scary
and a
what you
stern
just
look.
did. That deserved like a dun dun dun.
Yeah,
That's terrifying. There's almost like,
very scary. Yeah,
what does that remind? I mean, there's kind of like there's like a 70s horror movie. It's taken. The brow is so like. Am I just thinking of like Yul Brynner in Westworld?
probably.
The
Just
hills
imagine
have
bald and
eyes,
not with
or
hair.
the dinner scene from Texas Chainsaw, but like a distant relative of Leatherface. Like,
Or a grown child of the corn.
yeah. Stuff where they were like, we have $100 to costume the scene. So just put some putty on their face.
Anyway, if anyone knows this might be another, like, this could be like a Jim and Len. I don't know if they listen. And if you do, sorry, I've done impressions of your voices once in a while. And but if you aren't listening, somebody get the word. I'm really curious if there's any truth to this.
Well, Len took on the Jay Bigga
Yeah.
case, so I think there's a decent chance he's listening.
Pro bono detective work out of Len
yeah.
Testa.
So,
Is Ellen
if he's-
also the train robber? I feel somebody out there knows this fact, and we got to find him.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We won't figure it out. Someone else will figure
Someone
it out
else
for us.
who is
As you
better.
said the first time, it's easy to
Yeah.
we can solve any mystery with someone else solving the mystery.
Exactly.
Did you guys catch that when this ride closed in '96? It caused a chain reaction. It caused Horizons to open back up. Like a few
they were
weeks
down too many
before.
people eater rides.
Yeah, they were down too many attractions. So like, I think it was something like the 23rd or 24th of December, like right around Christmas, they reopened Horizons. So for a while, they had both open for the Christmas rush.
Okay.
And then in the new year, they close World of Motion for Test Track, which was, of course, then a pain in the ass because it kept not working.
And there was just no ride for this section of the park, that side of Future World had it so rough for a while.
Still does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say, well, the only reason I wouldn't say that is because they have Guardians now, but
That end of it. But the other half of it.
Yeah.
it's like boring Ellen ride with this frightening, like this Ellen who's going to stab you with this tree branch and then rob you. It's still got the robber instincts. And then these two really like problematic rides in their construction, in the ride's functionality, not due to racism or anything. I don't think.
Yeah.
Right? Mission Space or Test Track? I don't believe. I think they're
Those
in the clear.
two, I don't think so. I think,
Yes,
yeah.
unlike a lot of rides, they're in the clear. Bad area though for Epcot for a while. Did this ride purely close because we have an idea for a thrill ride, and that's the
Well, I
end of
think
it?
what it was, I mean, GM, they had the first sponsorship contract. They renewed it. There's an economic downturn around the time that is being renewed.
Okay.
Early 90s, maybe 92 about. And then they kept doing 1-year contracts, like, we'll keep sponsoring. Okay, it's still going good. We'll keep sponsoring. It's
Which was good for Epcot because everything did the 10-year and then bailed, but they at least kept doing little renewals.
GM still the sponsor, never went away. They've just Chevrolet is the more specific line is sponsoring it, but still GM.
Right.
And so I think after some year-long contracts, they're like, we want to keep doing it. Could we get something new in there? And Disney was like, well, we are missing a thrill ride. And then that's when they make the connection. Like, well, you did show us your test track.
Gotcha.
Is there something there?
Yeah. Yes. And then
Which isn't a bad thought. But certainly the first few years, even the first decade of Epcot, I was looking up, well, what were Disney's thrill rides were first Space Mountain and Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. The earliest one of those was 1975. Was the first, I believe that would have been Space Mountain at Disneyland.
they got into thrills very, very slowly.
Yeah, they got in very slowly. So, like, it kind of makes sense that it took Epcot a while to get a thrill ride, because I don't think they were thinking about, like, oh, yeah, parks need to have dark rides and thrill rides and show. Like, they were still, figuring out what this is.
We just need slow-moving trips from caveman days to an optimistic future that the corporation sponsoring the ride cannot make happen.
Yeah.
There is a funny one of the cars at the end looks like the Tesla Cybertruck.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, like very, very similar.
Very
I
similar.
don't know the Tesla Cybertruck offhand.
Oh, it's a really angular. Everyone says it looks like Polygon, like early PlayStation 1 cars. In real
that's
life.
so pointy. This is the
That's the
pointiest
one where
car I've
Elon
ever
Musk
seen.
said he was on stage and he said that the windows could never break, and then he hit it with like a big hammer, and then the window broke.
Yeah.
It's like a QVC blooper.
Yes,
That's
a
madness.
high-profile QVC blooper.
I think some people speculating because they're like, oh, there's no rear view mirrors on the sides. It's like, aha, there's cameras. And everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Cameras break all the time.
Yeah, what if the...
I don't think we figured out something better than mirror yet.
Is it as long as it has a secret button in case the key won't come out? Then I think it'll be all right.
No
Your
button.
Saturn Ion.
It's guaranteed to get caught on fire that fire departments cannot put out. That is the feature.
It's a special kind of Tesla type fire.
Yeah.
It's not normal fire. It's futuristic fire that it's harder to put out.
No.
Pioneered
it's-
new types of fire, and we're excited. Woo-hoo, yeah, we're excited about that. That's my attempt at an Elon Musk.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Doesn't he? He does kind of ha 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 ha. He like laughs weird, right?
Yeah.
No, it's hard. I've tried to do them before, and it's not.
It's
I
just
can't
like-
do
it's
it. But
very-
that seems close to me. That's pretty good.
Very clipped, and as close as I'm gonna get. There's another weird car that they showed off called the Lean Machine. That's in the post show, and it's called the Lean Machine not just because it is very thin. It is a one-person car. Aaron described it as looking like a motorcycle with a house.
Yeah.
It's like it is because you're reclined. It's like a recumbent bike, but then it's got like a little pod on top. But also it's a lean machine because you lean. It's the same idea as the Segway where you're using your own balance. So you like turn your legs in the way you would on a motorcycle, but you're also steering. And this thing just looks like it's a tin can. Like if like a large dog landed on top of the car, you would get crushed to death.
Yeah, I will say a lot of proof of concept stuff, a lot of blue sky thinking sort of stuff in the post show area.
Yes,
much more fun and optimistic than
A lot
current
of
test
fun,
track.
Yeah,
like current
yeah.
test track post show is just like, hey everyone, here's the new Chevy Malibu.
Oh yeah,
Here's the current
current
model Chevy.
Oh, there's a Saturn Ion.
There's a Saturn Ion.
Yeah, we should post photos of your Saturn Ion.
It was a
If you
very
can-
reliable car.
I still think you drive that. I'll see it on the road sometimes, and I go, "Oh, Jason! Oh no, he
No.
doesn't have it anymore."
You
Because
get your hopes up, Jason.
That's
like a
your-
dog
like, that's
waiting
so
for their
iconic.
master to come home.
It was very
That's like your
specific
Batmobile.
color green. I loved that color green. It was very
Yeah.
easy to find parked on the street.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll find some
I was
photos.
gonna say, I think if you quizzed me in '90, whenever Test Track opened, I would have definitely said, "Oh, good, this is so cool. Test Track is awesome." But in hindsight, not as good as this ride, I think.
Huh? Yeah. I mean, I would definitely love if this was here today. I was thinking how insane it would be if, like, again, we're recording this on D23 weekend. We don't know what they're announcing, but if they announced, imagine this hadn't happened and they announced, what we're going to do is build a 15-minute ride about the history of transportation, and there will be 188 robots in it. Go, what in the world? Now? That's what's happening?
Right.
And what for what IP? For what Marvel? No, nothing. Leonardo da Vinci is in it. Does that count as IP?
There is a man on a flying carpet. Apropos of nothing.
Aladdin-esque.
Yeah.
So is
Yeah.
it- I don't give a shit. I don't need to fall into your IP trap.
I'll give them a lot of credit in the post show and the building out front. A lot of good colored lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and this building is the shape of a wheel,
Uh-huh.
Yes.
so that's fun. That was on purpose. I
That they
believe.
have stuck with. There was the outdoor track, which you do get in test track, there was a plan for something like that here.
Where it goes outside for a little bit.
Well, I think they were talking about building a second ride. The early Blue Sky stuff is interesting, where it was like a much bigger atrium or like
Yeah.
and then
That Martin's
build
Vids
a
is really
second
good.
ride. Yeah, and he
Yeah,
also
goes over all that.
I watched a ride through, kind of a grainy ride through on YouTube, and I was like, I wish I found a better quality one. Most of the Martin's vids is a recreation of riding this ride, cutting together people's home videos, and it is incredible. Like, if we gave him all the footage, he could probably reconstruct the JFK assassin. He could answer who killed JFK. He is so good at constructing, like, every angle of a scene from, like, people's grainy Super 8 and VHS.
I found home movies from the CIA.
Now-
With very clear plans.
And it's very
Kennedy
clearly
murder plans.
George H.W. Bush standing right there, clear as day. He was in Dallas that day. Yeah, what's the other thing about World of Motion? I mean, just for my taste,
Yeah.
the first traffic accident scene, a lot of good old-timey nonsense, ice truck, a bus labeled Jitney. Still
What's
a lot
Jitney?
of Jitney is the old-timey name for buses or trolleys, sometimes taxi cabs, just back in the day. And a lot of the small, like, Jersey Shore towns that have been, like, vacation towns for 100-plus years still refer to, like, the Atlantic City Jitney has been running for, like, since 1917 consistently.
Is your old timiness a product of growing up around there, where it's more of it, like the
I think
remnants
it's
of it
part
are
of it.
around more than California?
Well, yeah, but then, there's a lot more remnants around. And then also, like, the early Disney stuff, all of the middle-aged people referencing the past in these rides, then just embed in my brain.
You learned
And
a
then
lot
also-
about the early 1900s
Yeah.
from all these Epcot,
All
from this
this
future
stuff
theme park.
and Bugs Bunny doing Humphrey Bogart impressions, or the Marx Brothers
and-
just in the stands of a Mickey cartoon or something.
And you hanging out and growing up with the other little rascals, of course.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
When you hear the phrase 1964 World's Fair, you have a little cowlick that pops up.
That's right.
Going.
I drank my polio medicine, and now I get to go to the World's Fair as a treat. Another thing about World of Motion, haven't mentioned yet, a very good icon. I think a top-tier Epcot icon.
Yeah. It's hard to rank them. They're all good, but that one has a dot in the very center, and it's like making centrifugal force happen around.
Communicating the idea of motion.
Yeah,
through
there's
a
this
simple
forward momentum within the little circle.
That's
I love
another
those
ranking.
I love them so much.
That's another rank. Trying to rank the original Epcot icons.
We could do that. Let's
Yeah.
do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Happy anniversary, Epcot.
Yeah. Yes. And here, and one more before we wrap it up. I think this is an iconic scene and one that I like, which is the invention of the wheel, and this idea that people are pitching other wheels, and the other wheels are hexagons and triangles before you get to the good old roundy. I love the idea that that's what happened. Like they made it as far as we're gonna have a cart, right? We're gonna have like a room, but a room you could move. And now what we need is a stick and a shape. So what should the shape be? And then people go off and okay, I think the stakes are high. They're gonna execute me if they don't like this.
A hexagon.
Now,
A star? Maybe a star? 5 points?
all right, so I made my wooden star. All right, let me see if it moves my tiny room forward. It doesn't. Shit. Maybe they'll just like the design of it. Maybe I can sell it anyway. All right, I'm late for my meeting with the king. I better get over. He's gonna poke both of my eyes out with his pointy hat if he doesn't like my moving shape.
Yeah.
But
somebody went like really abstract with the shape and like designed a new shape. Really bad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like weird, jagged. There's still no name for it. I like that the three guys with the other shapes are like losers. They have like poor posture and they're nervous and like I don't know. I liked it on paper. And then the wheel guy is like hot. He's taller than them. Yeah. He's confident. He's swarthy. He's got
just
kind of a
like
Jesus-y beard.
Just like our fine General Motors employees and executives.
You look your best.
Stud.
You think your best. The cars you make perform their best. That's how it works.
People with good idea. People with the best ideas are always hotter.
Mm-hmm.
That is something
just like,
that's being represented here.
Just like Elon Musk.
That's right.
That is correct.
Say what you will about it. My man's a fucking stud.
We saw those pics. We all got those alfalfa cowlicks popping, blowing. All right. I think we made it. Or throw in any thoughts on this as we go out. But you survived Podcast The Ride. World of Motion. Happy 40th birthday, Epcot Center. Thank you. And we say this with love. Thank you for all your boringness. Because people say keep Epcot weird or whatever, but I say keep it boring. I get nervous with these roller coasters you know what? I like the poor line read. That feels like an odd.
I agree. I said it before that it's better that it's bad, but it's funny.
Yeah. If we want Epcot to be at least a little boring in a fun way, then what better way than seeing an A-list actor get bored while saying his own line?
Yes.
Will that age into the next generation of Thank the Phoenicians? Will that become like people
whatever
start?
His quote is?
Yeah.
His, his nervous hesitation before saying
the
veggie fruit.
Yeah.
I think so. I was going to say the last thought I had. Well, do you want to do the plugs? Then I'll give my final thought.
Let's do that. I'll throw these out. Hey, so, thanks to engineer Jordan Katz here at Forever Dog. Thank you, Jordan, for everything. And, hey, you can find us on all the socials at Podcast The Ride. Merch is available in our TeePublic store for 3 bonus episodes every month. Check out Podcast The Ride, The Second Gate, or get one more bonus episode, which you, the audience, votes on our new tier, Club 3. We'll find all that at patreon.com/Podcast The Ride. Mike?
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, Ellen, they gave it there was a time we talked about many years ago on the Universe of Energy, which started as a much drier ride, and then they added Bill Nye, they added Ellen to it because those are 90s icons. But, and I mentioned him already, but was there ever an idea, let's throw Jay Leno on this thing to save it?
Well, he was in Epcot. Don't forget, there was that little thing in Interventions where you could be interviewed by him on this night, which imagine 10-year-old me I'm like biding my time. I like watched it and learned the rhythms so that there wouldn't be any downtime.
We got to do that as an episode too.
Yeah, I'm sure we could find somebody's footage of it.
But you know, Martin Short or many people had multiple appearances in the park, so it really, I mean, you could definitely come up with a Leno sort of hosted World of Motion where he talks about, you know, the invention of cars and stuff.
Well, that would have to be even longer because he would stop at every car and tell you like, no, this was I cannot
you could
do
do
a fake
Seinfeld.
car
You could
effect.
put Seinfeld in there too.
Must
You could have all the '90s car
wearing
guys.
his cool new clothes,
Yes.
modeling clothes.
If it was still around now, they would shut it down to put Seinfeld's new clothes on him that are in that photo shoot that just came out.
I since Leno has come up, I texted you guys right before we started recording. Bethy Squires, who we've met before, is a good writer, and she posted about how learning about Jay Leno has been voicing a character in the Mickey Mouse cartoons for years.
Oh, you don't say.
I see it. Yeah, I see it, and I'm excited to dig in there.
What's the character? What do we know?
We'll just have to find out.
Oh, okay. Well, we will.
No, it's not weird. I don't think it's weird. I think we'll just literally have to find out.
No, that was literal. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do that and get back to you. But for now, the episode's over. So
It is over.
So long. Yeah, I think
Goodbye.
thank you for Conan. Bye.
Forever Dog.
This has been a Forever Dog production. Executive produced by Mike Carlson, Jason Sheridan, Scott Gardner, Brett Boehm, Joe Cilio, and Alex Ramsey. For more original podcasts, please visit foreverdogpodcasts.com and subscribe to our shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Keep up with the latest Forever Dog news by following us on Twitter and Instagram @ForeverDogTeam and liking our page on Facebook.